We've all grown up seeing spells performed in movies and TV shows, though for the most part, Hollywood depictions of spell work have led to a lot of misinformation, especially when it comes to understanding how spells work or what to expect when you perform your own spells. The magic of modern-day witchcraft looks nothing like Harry Potter or Sabrina, but that doesn't mean it's not effective and powerful. Of course, there are so many different types of spells out there, and this video is not going to delve into that. Instead, I want to talk about the underlying philosophies, mechanisms, and physics in place that make spell work, well, work. And I know that there are definitely going to be a lot of skeptics out there watching this video, but I hope you can approach this with a bit of an open mind. I myself also tend to generally approach things with a level of skepticism. I personally consider myself much more of a Scully than a Mulder, and when I was younger, I thought spells were pretty much BS. Though over the years, I've learned more and expanded my perspective. I found that spell work can actually be an effective tool for creating positive change. And a quick disclaimer, I do not have all the answers. These are just my thoughts when it comes to spell work. I'm sure that my ideas will continue to evolve and change as I do, so do please keep that in mind while you're watching. Anyway, let's jump right into the video. We can start by asking ourselves, what is a spell? And of course, there are many definitions out there, but I like to consider a spell as simply your willpower in action. When performing a spell, you are setting an intention, focusing your energy and directing it outward in order to achieve a particular result. And this intention setting and exerted energy is really the core component of a spell. And this is not something that is just done by witches. In fact, many religions have certain activities and rituals that could be technically considered spells. For example, a Christian prayer or a Buddhist chant also involves intention setting and concentrated energy. Since ancient times, people have understood on an intuitive level that our thoughts and focused energy actually have immense power. Throughout the centuries, spell work was a method that tapped into the power of our own mind and energy. And it's really exciting to see that over time, the scientific community has warmed up to the idea that our minds are, in fact, really powerful. There have been countless studies done on the benefits of meditation, and there's also been a lot of recent research done on how focused attention can create positive effects within the physical body. We also know from physics that our thoughts actually have matter, and spells are really just a manifestation of our thoughts. So maybe sending our thoughts and prayers isn't quite as useless as you might think. Also, in my view, some of the most fascinating studies being done on the power of the mind are about the placebo effect. We don't yet fully understand how or why the placebo effect works, and I definitely think it's possible that at least part of the reason spell work is effective is due to the placebo effect. Now, that doesn't devalue spell work. Instead, I think the placebo effect merely kind of enhances the effectiveness of the spell. I would definitely recommend reading Real Magic by Dean Radin if you're interested in learning more about the empirical data and some of the current scientific experiments being done on magic and spell work. So we've talked about the power of intention and the mind, though this is not the only component of a successful spell. And what makes spells within witchcraft unique is that they also usually include additional materials which are meant to assist and amplify the spell. Often these additional items are nature-based, like crystals and herbs, for example. So why would adding natural items increase the effectiveness of a spell? I think to understand this, we kind of have to go against certain aspects of the Western scientific worldview. In ancient times, it was commonly believed that nature and the universe had a kind of like divine essence or consciousness, and that spell work was a way to tap into this universal energy. Though as we transitioned into the modern era, there became a division between science and spirituality. Over time, that division widened significantly to the point where more and more people began to view the natural world as just material without any divine or spiritual significance. I definitely recommend reading Cosmos and Psyche by Richard Tarnas if you want to learn a bit more about this significant world shift. So the common belief held today is that only humans have a high level of consciousness, and as such, we humans are kind of entitled to dominate the natural world however we want. And this worldview is drastically different from how our pagan ancestors viewed the universe. While pagan cultures and societies of course varied, the majority of them had an animistic worldview. Many also believed that there was a life force or consciousness that connected all things in the natural world. Instead of trying to rule over nature, our pagan ancestors viewed themselves as active participants in the wider natural forces at work. To me, the belief that the universe is completely devoid of meaning and that true consciousness only exists within the human mind kind of seems like hubris, especially considering that consciousness is pretty much still a mystery to modern scientists. So I don't think it's too much of a stretch to believe that there is some inherent power or consciousness within natural materials such as herbs and plants. And if that is true, the addition of these natural materials could add an extra energy to a spell that could really help expand its effectiveness. In spell work, usually the specific herb or natural item used contains an attribute that corresponds with the intention of the spell. For example, in a money spell, you might use cinnamon, as cinnamon is associated with money and luck. This creates a symbiotic relationship where the intention of gaining wealth is enhanced by an herb that shares the same folkloric meaning. Finally, there is a third component that is also occasionally involved in spell work, and that is a call for help from the divine. Just as Christians call for help during prayer, a witch may ask one or multiple deities to assist in their spell. Asking for help from the divine really kind of forces us to lower our ego just a bit. We're kind of surrendering and reaching out to the divine within the universe, and sometimes the divine reaches back. In general, I think if we accept a more animistic worldview, we begin to understand that there is still so much to the world that we don't yet know or understand. And that instead of trying to assert our dominance over the natural world as humans, we can strive to humbly work with the powers of nature and the universe. Spells are more than just a method to get what you want in the world. To me, they are a mechanism for building a better relationship with the natural world and the divine aspect of the universe. So I really hope you enjoyed this video, and next I want to hear your ideas on this topic. Do you agree with what I said, or am I way off? So please share in the comments below how you think spells work. And if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, I would love if you would consider subscribing. I mean, after all, if you've made it to the end of this video, this kind of content is probably your cup of tea. And if you would like to support this channel and the work that I am doing, I would love for you to join my community on Patreon. I will leave the link down below in the description. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye.